I'm pleased to present today's Hometown Hero Award to Jim Harris for his work with the Hmong community in Wausau and abroad, as well as his dedication to the preservation of the Hmong cultural artifacts. Jim's interest in Hmong culture developed when he served as a teacher and then principal at Weston Elementary School. Jim's interaction with Hmong students led to his desire to learn more about his students' culture and history. Many students were the children of refugees fleeing their homeland at the end of the Vietnam War. Hmong soldiers fought alongside American forces in the Secret War against communist forces in Laos. At the end of the war, the Hmong people were declared enemies for their role in assisting the United States, resulting in 300,000 Lao and Hmong refugees immigrating to the United States, with many settling here in Wisconsin. Jim's work with the Hmong community led to him taking 22 trips over 20 years to Laos. On these trips, Jim and his wife Marty would bring medical supplies to support those in need and offer English language education. Jim and Marty founded the nonprofit organization We Help War Victims, which is dedicated to clearing unexploded ordnance from the farmlands and the forests in Laos. On these humanitarian trips, Jim's collected Hmong cultural artifacts that he's brought back to Wausau. Jim's extensive collection of Hmong artifacts garnered national attention as one of the most extensive in the country and serves as the basis from Laos to America Museum in Wausau. This museum provides a central location to house these important pieces and educate the community on Hmong culture. The museum and the We Help War Victims organization are entirely funded by individuals, school groups, church groups, and the sales of Lao coffee. So far, Jim and Marty have declined any grant money. I'm once again proud to recognize Jim Harris as a hometown hero. His dedication in Wausau and Laos has ensured the Hmong culture and storied history will be preserved for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Harris.
Thank you for the honor that I'm receiving today, but I want to be really clear. The hometown hero is my hometown. Wausau, Wisconsin, in 1976, was the municipality in the state of Wisconsin that was measured to be the least diverse in the entire state. In that year, 1976, the Wausau School District had 8,000 students. There wasn't a single resident black family in Wausau. The 3 or 4 African-American children among those 8,000 students were all adopted by Caucasian families. So we were a town without Hispanics, without Asians, without blacks, the least diverse community in the state. Of course, we are the largest city in the 7th Congressional District. And in that same year, 1976, when you measured the congressional districts in America for diversity, there were 435 congressional districts. The 7th Congressional District of Wisconsin, measured for diversity, was number 435. So it was a remarkable event when the first Southeast Asian refugees began coming to Wausau. And I'm incredibly proud of the city of Wausau, the greater Wausau area, who showed hospitality, understanding, and offered a new life to the Southeast Asian refugees who came. Mostly the Hmong, the Lao, but also minorities within the minority. We also in Wausau have Khmu and Akha and Mien and other small minorities. But from a city with no racial diversity in 1976, we're very proud now to say that Wausau is made home to 12% of our population are Southeast Asian residents. People who come to our museum know when I give a tour, I give a lot of stories. And I do that because the stories have been trusted to me by people, many of whom have passed away in the years since they first came to Wausau 45 years ago. And so I feel like I'm the custodian of many stories, and I try to share them with groups that come through. I have one story to share today, and it's particularly appropriate since the person who nominated me for this award is Pat Snyder. Pat may keep it a secret, but Pat was not born in Wisconsin. Oh, okay. Pat's a native of another state, but that's germane to the story I want to tell. After the Vietnam War, when there were literally 150,000 Hmong in refugee camps in Thailand, there were also other minority groups from Southeast Asia who were in those same camps. And one of the groups were the Thai Dam people. And the Thai Dam people, I've worked with them in 5 dry seasons doing bomb removal in their villages. They suffered greatly. The first village where my team did bomb removal, we asked people, just show us the stuff you already know about. And they ended up leading us to 103 items. And it took us 42 days, 6 weeks, to blow up and make safe just the items they already knew about. But the Thai Dam people, after having suffered through the war, ended up in refugee camps, and then they saw what was happening to the other people in the camp. They saw the Hmong people being sent off to 50 different states. And they were frightened by that. The Thai Dam people went to the camp authorities and said, we are just a small people. We're here just a few thousand of us. The Hmong have 150,000. You can send the Hmong to 50 different states, and they'll find a husband for their daughter, a wife for their son. They'll hold on to their language. But we're the Thai Dam people. If you send us to 50 different states, we'll lose our culture. How will my daughter find a husband? Well, the people in the camp told the Thai Dam people, you just have to face reality. We're lucky if we can find communities that will take refugees from Southeast Asia, and when we find a sponsor, that's where you'll go. Well, the Thai Dam elders didn't take it sitting down. Together with aid workers, they wrote 50 handwritten letters to the governors of 50 states. Very touching. They sent those letters off and then waited expectantly. To their disappointment, there was no reply. Weeks went by. You would have thought that those letters would have ended up in some bureaucratic file, and they would have gotten a letter back saying, oh, we've referred it to the appropriate committee. Okay? We'll get back to you after proper consideration. They got nothing until one letter came back. They opened that letter, and that letter said, I've received your request, and you're asking for something that could be a real hurdle for one state to take the entire Thai Dam refugee population. It will be hard. It'll be challenging. But I know the people of my state, and we're going to do it. You know, whenever I tell that story to school children coming through, I can see them stand up a little taller. And I say, what state do you think that was? And of course, because I'm in Wisconsin, they always say, it was Wisconsin, wasn't it? And I say, no. Wisconsin didn't even give them the courtesy of a reply. That letter was signed by Robert Ray, the Republican governor of Iowa. Iowa took them all. Now, why do I tell a story in a body like this, full of Wisconsinites. What's the reason for my telling that story? It's the same reason I tell it to school children who come through, knowing that I'm going to disappoint them by telling them it wasn't their state, it was Iowa. Well, the final message I give after telling that story is, and I can say it to my grandson today, Will, you'll never miss an opportunity to show your humanity. It's never too late. If you're leaving our museum and you feel, I'm kind of disappointed that it wasn't Wisconsin, you'll get your chance. You'll have an opportunity to show what Wisconsin people are made of, to show that, like the people in Iowa, we have big hearts and we can show humanity. Thank you much for the opportunity to be here today.